My name's Adrian. I'm a stone sculptor from Jemez Pueblo, 30 years old, and married to Santana Titla, and I have a young son named Hunter. Hunter Wall, he's 10 months old. I've been carving sculpture since, I guess, 1990, a little over 10 years now. What does art mean to me? I think art is more of a way of life than anything else. It's that constant search for creativity. It's getting up in the morning, going out to the studio to work. It's being inspired by your culture. It encompasses everything, that you do every day. Whether it be visiting with your family, taking care of your family. It all comes together. And I think with my pieces, especially what you see at the end product is just a culmination of everything going on. Whether you're coming out here to get the stone, the medium. This is alabaster. Alabaster is a sedimentary stone formed by water. It's really closely related to gypsum. It's a soft rock. This is a beautiful, beautiful color. As you can tell, it's got orange, red, a little bit of gray in it. Creation of a sculpture from the beginning, taken out of the earth to its finished product. So sit back and enjoy. How I got introduced to sculpture. I've always been inspired to carve ever since I was really young. My dad was a stone sculptor, and he used to work at a studio up in Jemez Pueblo, up in Jemez Springs at Clifford Frawa's studio. I remember visiting there as a young child and watching him create these magnificent pieces of art. I mean, it's just like what I wanted to do ever since then. When I was really young, I used to make a lot of pottery. Like, my mom's from Jemez, and she's a pretty well-known potter in her own right. Same with my sister. My mother's name is Fanny Loretto, and my sister's name is Kathleen Wall. As a young child, I'd make little pieces of pottery, little storytellers or those little ornos. We used to make those and sell them, and that was my first introduction to three-dimensional art. As a teenager, in my later teens, started getting a little more serious about the art. I moved into an apartment complex in Albuquerque next to a sculptor named Pat Chapito. He was a Zuni carver, and he introduced me to the basic technique of sculpture. Since then, I've been going full force. My inspiration comes mostly from my culture. I carve different themes. I carve some very contemporary pieces of work using mostly form. And then I carve the traditional sculpture, which is more figurative. Stone sculpture in this form hasn't been around that long. I think maybe in early times, some of the pueblos around here carved fetishes, and that form of sculpture has been around for a long time. But as far as sculpture in the form that I'm carving hasn't been around that long. I think Alan Hauser maybe introduced it. He was a sculpture teacher, and a lot of his students came out and became sculptors. And it was from there I think that that type of art has grown. My culture has a very big influence on me. Like I said, I'm from Jemez Pueblo. I'm also part Laguna and part Chippewa and part Seneca. I grew up around here in the Southwest, and just the beauty of the culture, a lot of the things I carved, kind of represent mystical aspects of the culture, or just beautiful things that I see in them, like people. And I try to convey concepts, like maybe a song or something, or designs, and try and incorporate that into my sculptures. When you think about trying to incorporate a song into your sculpture, how do you do that? So that's a creative aspect of it. The face has a lot to do with my style. I try not to copy anybody's style, but at the same time I'm very inspired by other people's sculptures. I think my faces are very distinctive, and a lot of people recognize my work by the faces. The most common question I'm asked is if I know what the sculpture is going to be before I start. And the answer is yes and no. I take two separate approaches. The majority of the time I'll take the stone and I'll carve it and clean it all up and make sure there's no cracks in it, and then see what I can work with and see what the stone looks like. Have an idea of something I really want to carve, and then I'll start with a block and work my way inward. And those times I usually have a very good idea of what the sculpture is going to look like before it's finished. A lot of people ask me what kind of tools I use when I carve sculpture. The majority of the stone I carve is alabaster, and so I use a lot of grinders, chisels, sandpaper and files, all very modern tools. I'm sure if Michelangelo had them, he would use them too. I'll probably be a sculptor for the rest of my life.